Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our life. Last we left off, we were finally seeing what Derek's brothers looks like as adults. So we've seen George, and now we're just waiting for his little baby brother. So without further ado, let's hop into
All
this.
right.
And back in we go. And he was, although George Jr. Suarez was hardly a junior anymore. George had not only grown taller than his big brother, but who was also towered over his parents. Your jaw would have been on the floor if Derek hadn't mentioned this earlier. Still, from his neat, sandy brown hair, his calm expression, and relaxed stance, you knew that he was still the same boy you knew as a kid. George also remained a placid presence in his rambunctious family. They cheered at his arrival, and he smiled
Hello.
sweetly. Hello, I hope I didn't keep you waiting. Welcome home, Junior.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. You didn't take long at all. Derek struck when George was distracted by their parents. He hooked an arm around his brother's neck and pulled him in close. George hugged Derek to the side. So Derek already here, huh? Yeah, I am. Never would have guessed that. The brother let go and gave each other one last light shove. George went over to you next. Hey, Ari, it's been a while. I've been waiting forever to see you. Hi. I'm so proud you've grown into such a responsible young. I missed you. You're all grown up. You grinned. So proud. High five, pat him on the back, tap his nose, open your arms for a hug. We're hugging people. Stunned, he could only let out a nervous chuckle. He awkwardly stepped forward and quickly hugged you back. It's good to see you. You noticed that the remaining rigidness lifted from George's frame. He snagged a drink from the kitchen and settled in. He was joined there by the others as he recounted his day so far. Eventually, you all heard the distinct sound of the doorknob jingling, and then turned, not knocking. No knocking was required for this one. There was only one person it could be. The last to arrive for the gathering, and the last to have been born, Nicholas. The door popped open with a swish as you saw what you were undeniably right. Oh my god! Oh! It's so much color! It looks great, but wow. It was Nico, but his appearance had your brows pinched. He was extremely different, yet simultaneously so similar to the tiny 6-year-old you had first met him as. Somehow his hair managed to be even wilder than he was an elementary school kid, but besides that, he had become a young man despite continuing to be a baby in your mind's eye. He was also sporting a colorful rainbow romper that was fashionable as it was functional, as well as his iconic hair clips to round out the mix of old and new. Nicholas is back. Would you look at them? So, I knew what to expect from Derek, okay? I'd already seen what Derek looked like as an adult because of the other ending. But, oh my god! George and Nicholas. Jeez. But he caught me off guard, okay? The man... You have to keep in mind, I was not expecting him to walk in like an overgrown toddler. Don't mean that in a mean way, but that's how he looks. Nicholas is back. With a roll of his eyes, Nicholas animated gesture and held out an arm and held out his arm. You bit back an amused laugh. No shit, I live here. That's not news. News is that Derek and Ari are back. He bounced over and managed to securely lock himself around his brother's wide chest. Derek wrapped an arm across his brother's shoulder in response. Derek ruffled Nico's long, thick hair before letting him go. It was sweet that the gesture of affection between them hadn't changed, though Derek didn't have to lean down to do it anymore. Hello, son. Thank you for coming. Walking by, Nicholas gave a short wave to his parents and then elbowed George chummily as his hello. George teasingly retaliated with a poke to his little brother's side. Finally, Nicholas stopped in front of you. Hey, Harry, welcome back to Casa Suarez. Hi, I'm glad to see you again. My sweet baby boy. But a charming gentleman, you grunted. You can't be that big. That's illegal. You smiled. I like this one. You shook your head. You hugged him. You offered him a high five. We're a hugger. He happily welcomed you into his arms. Sorry, Aerie, the law has no power over me. You still couldn't believe how much of him there was now. He's always so tiny in your memories. Now that the Suarez family plus you was together again, Mr. Suarez admiringly looked at his wife and then his sons, and he securely hooked his fingers into his belt loops. I'm sorry, I just ate. And I had a popsicle. And it was orange creamsicle. So the cream is maybe caught in my throat a little.
That's good.
This is very good, yes. I wonder if everyone here will be coming back tomorrow as well. Of course, Dad. Aerie and I are gonna be here for sure. I might manage to work it into my busy schedule. We wouldn't miss it for anything. I already can't wait for tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Superb. That's exactly what I wanted for the day. Mr. and Miss Suarez provided lunch. It was nice for the whole family to be sitting at one busy table, but afterwards Derek announced that you two should hit the road. I'm gonna get going too. I still have a class later. Are you serious? We've barely done anything. Sorry, Nico. We gotta take the trip out to Sunset Bird before it gets any later. Fine. You, me, and George are going to do something together and not the Father's Day thing, okay? Something that's gonna be fun with just us. Sighing affectionately, Miss Suarez shared a look with her snickering husband, Nicholas, going through the iconic parents are uncool teen phase.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, I made sure to have the whole day free. I promised to come over early. Derek tilted his head towards you, silently asking your opinion before agreeing to anything. I'd love to hang out with the boys.
I swear.
Cool, got that? We'll both be there. Count on it. We can do whatever Nico wants in the afternoon, and then it'll be Dad's pick in the evening. Alright, see you then. And with that settled, everyone exchanged their goodbyes and see you soon, and Derek left in good spirits. You hopped back in his car, already eager for home. Sunset Bird was waiting for you. During the drive, you sent off a text to let your moms know that you were coming by soon. They knew you were arriving today, but they had no idea when you were going to be free to come see them. Humming to himself, Derek sped down the highway. The city skyscrapers were far behind you in the distance, and there was nothing but rolling hills of green. It was strange to be sitting shotgun with Derek after all these years of your friendship being trapped in long-distance zone, but at this time it also wasn't. What was arguably strange was how his presence affected you. Having him there by your side was the most normal thing in the world to you. Soon enough, you began to recognize landmarks darting the way to your hometown. Excitement buzzed under your skin, and you were ready to get back home. The car flew past Now Leaving sign as you rolled down the window to wave at it. Officially, you're finally back in Sunset Bird. It didn't take more than a few minutes to drive through the rest of the town and roll into the sleepy neighborhood where you grew up. Derek parked along the curb and you both slid out.
Nice work.
We made it, safe and sound. Derek leisurely leaned on the car and looked over at the roof, and you lifted a questioning brow. Do you want to see Mr. Holden too? We have time. Yeah. Eagerly, you glanced over the Holden house. There was a good chance Mr. Holden would be home. It was a great idea. Thanks. I've been known to have them once in a while. So what do you want to do first? See your moms or go check on Mr. Holden? Let's visit Mr. Holden first. If he's not there, then we can try again after seeing my moms. And if he's there now, there's a chance he might not be when we're done with the other visit. Sounds reasonable to me. Together you crossed the street and walked up to the familiar door. It was still a little odd remembering that the condo was now only inhabited by a single Holden. You rang the doorbell and waited. Luckily, the familiar face of Mr. Holden appeared in the doorway and beamed, seeing you.
Hey!
Hi! Derek gave a big wave at that Mr. Holden returned cheerily until his brain caught up enough to let him speak. Where in the world did you come from? Surprise! You tipped your head back and burst into a deep laugh. When you could breathe again, you pointed your thumb at Derek. He's letting me stay at his place so I could come visit.
Come on.
That's great. Come on in. He waved for you two to follow inside, and you did. He glanced back over his shoulder to address you further. So, what can I do for you today? You don't have to do anything. Can't I just visit out of the goodness of my heart? Mr. Holden took a good look at you with a wobbly grin. Aw, even after growing into such a successful grown-ups, you still haven't forgotten your dear old neighbor. I hope you've been doing well. Things couldn't be better these days. Agreed.
How's it going?
Glad to hear. And your moms? They're doing all right? I haven't actually seen them yet. We're going there next. Oh, could I tag along? I've been meaning to visit them, and it'd be nice to stick with you two a while longer. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Let's move this party across the street. Nothing else needed to be said after that. The newly arranged group pivoted out the door and strolled right over to your childhood home. Without missing a beat, you located and rang the oddly placed doorbell. Ma expectantly answered the doors. Her eyes sparkled and landed on you immediately.
Hi.
Hello, sweetie, and Derek, welcome. After a few seconds later, she realized there was a third less anticipated guest at her step and tried biting her lip back giggles with a little success. Oh, and hello to you, stranger. Hey there, the kids swung by and I thought I'd visit too. What a lovely surprise. Come in, come in. Look at the decorations around the place. I love watching how the little things change in the environment. Like, I don't remember there being these cushions on the couches. And this bread bowl, I know definitely was not here. Neither were those. Ma stepped aside grinning widely as she held the door all the way open so everyone could hurry through. Heya! Mom's voice rang out from the hall right before she appeared physically in front of you. She excitedly stopped at her wife's side.
Nice.
Woo, what a great crowd. Hi, Moms, I missed you. I'm home. You're both looking good. I hope you've been well. You sighed, content to be here. I'm home. You threw your arms around both of them. You took a hand from each of them. You gave them a peace sign. You waved. We are a hugger. Excitedly, you pulled them into a big hug. You could feel one of them soothingly rubbing circles in your back. You sure are, kiddo. Derek gently worked his way into the conversation. You didn't miss the way his skin was suddenly a shade rosier than before.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Mr. and Mrs. Payne, for letting me come by, too. It's nice to see you again.
You're fantastic.
You don't need to thank us for that. You can come over any time. You're an excellent guest.
That's fantastic.
Yes, and we need to thank you for giving our area a place to stay. Now we'll get to visit with them even more this summer. They shared a knowing look in their eyes alight. They had to be thinking of their big anniversary later in the season. You'd be coming back to Sunset Bird for that. You didn't mind at all traveling. It was worth it. Good point. Happy almost anniversary. Thank you. And that's going to be a night to remember, I'm sure. I bet we're going to have a nice little shindig at the Cypress. But what's shaken? You've been busy, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy for sure. With the move and learning the ropes to help out my dad with some things and some other stuff, there's a lot going on. Tell me more about it. I wasn't expecting things to be this jam-packed. The group relaxed and hung out in the living room. Each person shared updates from the past and plans for the future. It went on until the sun began to set, and at this point you and Derek decided it was best to leave sooner than later. The end of the visit was accepted with grace. Bye, thanks again for coming to see us.
care.
Tell Mr. Suarez Happy Father's Day for us.
I got you.
I will be sure to do that. Mr. Holden remained in his seat. He had already planned visiting with your moms a little while longer. Take care. It was great seeing you. Bye. Great seeing you. With that, you stepped out into the warmth embrace of the evening air. Leaving that house, going onto that street, it was something you had done countless times. Believing how much the context of that action had changed was hard. You were only here on a visit while the person you were staying with was Derek, a true reversal from the old days. Derek followed you out, but didn't go to his car. Instead, stepped into the center of the road and stayed there. His gaze wandered up the hill and past that, off into the distance. He spoke with a voice comforting and familiar, song of the crickets. Hey, before we go, we could stretch our legs a bit. There's one other thing I want to do while we're here. You don't have to ask twice. Lead the way.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks. Derek tilted his head in the direction you wanted to go. His mouth hooked into a grin and started strolling. You followed at his side. Derek moved with wide, carefree strides, his arm pumped back and forth with each step. You found yourself heading outside the residence streets of Sunset Bird onto the main street. It had been nice to refamiliarize yourself with the area during the little jaunt. Derek got a conversation going between you two. It's still hard to believe we're hanging out together right now. Seriously, when did this happen?
It's been a
But also,
long
when did it
time.
stop happening? It's, well, something I've been thinking about. His voice grew quieter as he was unable to meet your gaze. He shrugged and let the conversation hang on that note. The walk continued, and you had a good idea where he was going at that point. There was something coming up in the middle of the path, and it wouldn't hold any interest to anyone other than you, Derek, and Cove. For the three of you, it was special. Derek crouched down on the ground, right where you expected him. He smiled wistfully, a decade-old inscription. The writing was well worn, but still visible. He slowly placed his finger over the small print he had left in the concrete at 13-year-old. He was much larger than he used to be. His finger completely eclipsed the tiny mark, and yet he seemed small again to you in that moment. Derek's neck moved to the initials you had made. He dragged his fingers over the careful trace. There was something on his mind that swept miles away all of a sudden. You had no idea what it could be, and that uncertainty left sour taste in your tongue. Derek remained transfixed with the concrete and his own internal musings. Gradually, his frown worsened.
This sucks.
Time is a sucky thing to play against. If you mess up, that's it. Even if you try to turn things around later, you're not going to get what you lost back. It's just gone. Making mistakes isn't a waste. Do you think you've messed something up? That scares me. You should be proud of what you've been able to do. Watch quietly. You think you've messed something up? Oh, didn't mean to hit the mic. He chuckled, but it was the furthest thing from being reassuring. You nervously chewed inside of your
I
cheeks.
really messed up.
I messed up a lot of things. It was all that came of it. Derek pushed off the ground and got back on his feet. He brushed some dirt off and took his phone out. He got a picture of himself giving a thumbs up in front of the concrete slab, and solemn air around him vanished.
Okay.
I'm going to text this to Cove. Wait, I want to be in the picture too? That's very cute. Cove will appreciate our pilgrimage to the stone idol. You laughed. I want to be in the picture too. Oh, sure. You held out your hand in the air above the marking, and Derek went with other thumb and he snapped the picture. Now it's perfect. Yeah. You caught Derek's gaze wandering off again. He mumbled thoughtfully as you followed his eyeline to the local store across the street.
Oh, man.
Just remembered, I'm still low on groceries. We could journey over there. We could, but I'm worried things could go bad on the drive back to the apartment. Plus, it's been a super long day already. How about we pick something up for dinner and save the shopping for tomorrow, my treat? How could I say no to that? I vote for takeout. Awesome. Think about what you're in the mood for and let's get going. Got that you eagerly went back the way you came. This time you got in the car and drove out of Sunset Bird once more. Derek ordered from your preferred drive-thru and temporarily parked in the shade to pass out the goods. He handed you your drink and folded paper bag with your food and you dug in immediately. Derek's ride was nice and still had a new car smell, but he had no problem with people eating in it. He shared his philosophy of the inevitable that lived in stuff is going to get dirty. He wasn't going to get mad about normal wear and tear. With a big family of busy boys, and inability to keep things pristine certainly must have been an unavoidable fact for Derek. You and him enjoyed the meal. It was long finished when he pulled into his apartment designated parking spot. With the sunset dimmed down into inky blackness, it was hard to see. Derek switched on an interior light as you gathered up the trash and bags that dinner had come in. He led the way to his place, key in hand, and unlocked the door. Derek held it open for you instead of going through. You could have told someone he'd do that before it ever happened. It was a second nature to Derek. You took a few steps in and flicked on the light switch. Derek came in second and closed the door behind him.
Phew.
He walked further into the living room and flopped down on his couch. That was a successful day. A long, successful day. I feel like you've already been here a week, and you got here this morning. I've really been all around. I'm glad to be back. I've practically forgotten I don't live here. Such a nice time, you nodded. I've really been all around. Yep, I'm impressed that we fit so much in a day. No wonder I'm exhausted. Derek leaned his head back as he thought. Tomorrow's going to be busy too. He raised a hand and counted each of the planned activities with fingers. Groceries, taking the bros out, then Father's Day thing. That'd be great. I'm already tired again just hearing it. I also wanted to get something gift-wise for Father's Day. I also want to get something card-wise for Father's Day. You give him a thumbs up. We get him a card. So, add to the list. Want to get your dad something for the holiday?
I'm impressed.
You're so nice. We can find something when we're out shopping, I bet. Thanks. That'll work out. Derek blinked sleepily sinking further into the couch. He looked cozy. He shook himself and suddenly clapped his hands together. But hey, you probably want to shower and settle in for real before it gets even later. He rubbed the back of the couch and hauled himself to his feet. We can always work on the schedule when we're not sweaty and exhausted. But that's the best time to plan things. Derek exhaled sharply at your joke and you smiled. Yeah, I'll go gladly take your hot water. Bye, Derek. Derek waved you off as you returned to the guest room. You got out your stuff and put your toiletries in the bathroom and showered. Tried to be quick and were soon in your pajamas winding down for the night. Once again, you were back in your room. You plugged in your phone charger and unpacked tomorrow's clothes. A knock rattled your door. Can I come in? Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Derek accepted your invitation and shut the door behind him after you walked in. What's up, pal? What's up yourself? You went over to Derek. You sat down in the bed for conversation. You sat on the bed and patted the spot next to you. You shut your suitcase and climbed on the edge of the bed, and you scooted to the corner, leaving room for Derek-sized person to sit down. Derek stood in the corner of the room, not getting the hint until you gestured to the empty space beside you.
Oh.
Dense. He strode forward, hopping onto the mattress. The bed bounced beneath you. He grinned boyishly at you. Everything good in here? Yep, definitely have triple checked that I brought everything. It looks like I forgot my wallet, you joked. Forgot to pack shampoo and conditioner? It is, thanks for asking. You smiled back at her. It is, thanks for asking. Yeah, of course, I'm glad it's going well. Derek stretched his arms above his head and yawned. Despite his sleepiness, he remained upbeat. Rather than seeming done with the conversation, he appeared to be mulling something over, probably what to say next. He wasn't being responsible in going to bed early. You didn't mind. This was your first day back together, and there was no need to rush its end. A sparkle came to his eyes, inspiration striking him. Instinctively, he leaned closer to bring your face almost nose to nose. Ari, while you're here, we should go to a water park. There's one a ways away, but it'd be so worth it. He eagerly continued to lay out his thought process.
Oh, man.
We haven't done something like that since that boardwalk. Man, that was years ago. Our families were there. If we tried, we could keep it just you and me. Obviously, there's not a chance tomorrow. How about the day after that? We could get there first thing and spend the afternoon together and get going before it gets late. He paused and took a hopeful breath, all of his attention focused on your reaction. So what do you think? I'd love to go. That's perfect. I'm willing to give it a try. Well, all right. You give him thumbs up. That's perfect. A water park day was such a good summer kind of thing to do. You looked forward to Derek finally taking
All right.
you. All right. Ooh. Derek smiled wide, and you could tell that he was already mentally planning how the adventure would go. It sort of felt like being asked out on a date in a roundabout, indirect manner that could go either way depending on how you wanted to take it. Textbook Derek. With absolutely no further prompting, he winked. Since I'm finally saying this, I might as well admit the rest. I thought about inviting you to a water park before, and not only the water park, there were a lot of places I wanted to take you when we lived closer to each other. There was always a reason not to. I was busy, you were probably busy, or maybe you wouldn't like my idea at all.
That's what I thought.
And at least that's what I thought. He dropped his gaze and shrugged. You waited for him to rally you to turn it around. You could picture him saying something positive, maybe better late than never, or being glad that he finally did it. But as the silence continued, no silver lining came. He had failed in his past endeavors, and that was it. No one spoke, and the awkwardness began to press on you. But Derek brightened his voice, unwilling to let it linger any longer. Well, it's late. I shouldn't keep you up. I'll see you tomorrow, bright and early. We should plan to leave the apartment around 8 for shopping. Everything's close enough that we can walk, if that's all right. Okay.
Good night.
Great. Good night, Ari. Good night. Good night, Derek. Don't let the bugs bite tonight. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. You home friendly. Looking forward to it. Derek nodded and left the room without another word, leaving you alone. After all of what you had earned, your exhaustions, you were at your limit. Too sleepy to do anything else. You flicked out the lights and went straight to bed. And we'll call that one there. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what happens next, and I won't take up any more of your time. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.